The Bible contains three books that fall under what's called wisdom literature: Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job. Proverbs, the first of these, paints a picture of a God who is both wise and just. It teaches us that the world operates on principles of fairness. Those who live righteously are rewarded while the wicked face consequences. Simply put, you reap what you sow. Next, we encounter Ecclesiastes, who challenges this idea by pointing out that life doesn't always go according to plan. He notices that people don't always get what they deserve, and the world can be anything but fair. Life, he says, is unpredictable and elusive, like trying to grasp smoke. This raises a tough question. If life isn't fair, then is God truly wise and just? And that's the exact question tackled in the final book of wisdom, Job. The story of Job kicks off with a mysterious scene set in the heavens, kind of like a celestial command center. God is surrounded by angelic beings called the sons of God as they report in for duty. God proudly points to his servant Job, highlighting his righteousness and goodness. But then one of these beings, known in Hebrew as the Satan, steps forward. Now, the Satan isn't a name but a title, meaning the adversary or the one who opposes. He questions how God is managing things, suggesting that Job's devotion might not be genuine. He argues that Job only worships God because of the blessings he's received. Take away everything Job has, and his true nature will come out. God agrees to this challenge and permits the Satan to bring suffering into Job's life. One by one, Job loses everything: his family, his possessions, everything he holds dear. It's utterly devastating. And let's not forget, Job did nothing to deserve this. God himself confirmed that. Yet despite all this unimaginable pain, Job continues to praise God, at least throughout the first two chapters. But then in chapter 3 we get a deeper look at Job's true emotions. He pours out his grief in the form of a poem, cursing the very day he was born. It's raw and full of pain. Not long after, a few of Job's friends show up, supposedly to comfort him. But instead of support, they suggest that Job must have done something terrible to deserve this suffering. After all, they argue, if God is just and the world operates on his justice, then Job must be facing the consequences of his own actions. For the next 34 chapters, Job and his friends engage in a heated back and forth, all of it written in dense Hebrew poetry. His friends keep guessing at reasons for Job's suffering, even going as far as listing possible sins he might have committed. But each time, Job stands firm, defending his innocence. And remember, Job is innocent. His emotional journey swings wildly. Sometimes he holds on to the belief that God is still wise and just, but other times he starts to question God's goodness. At one point, he even accuses God of being reckless, unfair, and corrupt. By the end of this intense dialogue, Job demands that God show up and explain himself face to face. And then God does appear, but not with the explanation Job expected. He arrives in the form of a powerful storm cloud. However, instead of giving Job a direct answer or mentioning the conversation with the Satan, God takes Job on a virtual tour of the universe. He shows Job just how vast and complex the world really is. God asks if Job could even begin to manage or understand the intricacies of creation for a single day. He reveals the intricate details and beauty in the world, things we witness daily but don't truly comprehend. God knows it all intimately, even the hidden workings of the universe, in ways we can't begin to imagine, in places we will never see. To wrap things up, God shows Job two massive, awe-inspiring beasts and proudly speaks of their greatness. These creatures are powerful and dangerous. They could kill without a second thought. But God insists that they aren't evil. They are, in fact, part of his good creation. And that's essentially God's defense. It might seem strange, but the message is clear. From Job's limited perspective, it may appear as though God is unjust. However, God's perspective is infinitely broader. He's working within a universe full of complexity when making decisions, and this is what he calls his wisdom. So for Job to demand an explanation is actually pointless because Job, or any human, couldn't possibly grasp this level of complexity, even if they tried. So where does this leave us? It leaves Job in a state of humility. Despite never finding out why he suffered, he's able to live in peace and with reverence for God. But the story doesn't end there. God restores to Job double everything he had lost. It's unexpected. Is this a reward? Is God saying, "Well done, Job, you passed this intense test"? Not exactly. The entire book makes it clear that Job's suffering wasn't a punishment, so the restoration isn't a reward either. Instead, it seems that in God's wisdom, he chose to give Job a gift. We don't know why, but what we do know is that Job has become the kind of person who can trust God's wisdom, no matter what life brings, whether good or bad. And that brings us to the end of the book of Job and wraps up our exploration of the Wisdom series. These biblical books are truly remarkable. Each one provides a distinct perspective on what it means to live well. To fully grasp their teachings, it's essential to consider them all together as you embark on your journey of living with wisdom and in reverence for the Lord.